Basically, you enter a beautiful restaurant, eat several tiny dishes, and leave $500 poorer. Simple enough. The evening begins with a spoonful of caviar, followed by one scallop, then perhaps a single carrot. Although this carrot has been trimmed, roasted, smoked, glazed, and positioned with almost surgical precision, it looks ridiculous, at least from a distance. Then another plate arrives, carrying one perfect bite of seafood, and before you can decide whether it was brilliant or absurd, another course quietly replaces it. Then another. Soon the table becomes a gallery, and you become the audience. Every course arrives with an explanation. Perhaps the fish came from one particular coastline, caught by one particular boat, during one narrow season, before traveling hundreds of miles overnight, just for this plate. Another dish might recreate a forest, while the next might represent the chef's childhood, a family recipe transformed into something almost unrecognizable. This is not ordinary dinner. It is controlled storytelling through food. You choose nothing. The chef controls the order, deciding when the food should feel cold, warm, delicate, rich, surprising, comforting, or intense. You surrender control, and in exchange, you receive an experience designed minute by minute. Some courses last 30 seconds, others take days. A sauce appearing as 3 perfect drops may have begun with bones, vegetables, wine, herbs, and hours of reduction, while bread served casually at the table may require its own specialist. 3 hours later, dessert arrives, the final spoon disappears, and the waiter places a folded receipt beside your glass so gently that it almost feels ceremonial. Then you open it. $500 for one person, before wine, and possibly before tax, gratuity, service charges, or an optional addition of caviar, truffles, or wagyu. Suddenly dinner becomes mathematics, expensive mathematics. So what exactly did you buy? The ingredients? The army of people preparing, serving, cleaning, explaining, and coordinating every course? The atmosphere and exclusivity? The Michelin name? Or the social proof of saying, "I ate there"? To answer that question, we first need to understand how a tire company became one of the most powerful authorities in food. In 1900, Michelin published a guide for motorists because more travel meant more driving, more worn tires, and ultimately more replacement tires sold by the company that had distributed the guide. The guide contained maps, mechanics, fuel stations, hotels, and restaurants. Eventually, the restaurants became the attraction, and in 1926, Michelin began awarding stars to restaurants, later introducing the 1, 2, and 3-star hierarchy. Michelin Guide. Today, its inspectors visit anonymously, order normally, and pay their own bills before evaluating the meal using 5 consistent criteria. Those 5 criteria produce one deceptively simple result: the famous Michelin-Star itself. But each star carries a distinctly different promise to diners. 1 star rewards excellent cooking. It means the restaurant deserves your attention nearby. 2 stars raise those expectations considerably higher still. They justify a deliberate detour. You might cross town, change trains, or extend your stay. Dinner becomes the destination itself. 3 stars represent the highest distinction Michelin awards. Their cooking supposedly deserves an entire journey alone, not merely a convenient stop. Travelers may cross borders, reserve hotels, and plan months ahead, all for one dinner reservation. That explains prestige, but not $500, because stars judge food, not chandeliers or marble. Decor does not create stars. Service and tableware are recorded, but excluded from star decisions. Humble rooms can still win. So can an exceptional neighborhood street food stall. That distinction matters because tasting menus remain separate. Michelin evaluates the cooking itself. Restaurants decide how that cooking is packaged, presented, and sold. One option lets diners choose. Another surrenders every choice directly to the chef. That second approach creates the modern tasting menu. Instead of choosing familiar courses, you purchase a fixed sequence forming one complete culinary journey, usually for one predetermined price. The chef controls every course and its order, plus pacing, temperature, portions, and emotional rhythm. Dinner becomes carefully directed storytelling. The opening bites first introduce the restaurant's voice and personality. They are called amuse-bouches, small previews that awaken curiosity before courses. Seafood courses often establish delicacy and precision. Vegetables introduce seasonality and place. Bread provides a quiet pause before the progression grows richer. Even bread requires specialist labor. Richer fish or meat courses usually follow, while sauces deepen and textures become heavier. Then the menu creates contrast. A chilled broth can interrupt the meal's gathering richness completely. Citrus resets your palate again. Cheese may appear before desserts finally begin. Desserts may then arrive in several waves. Final sweets include petit fours, tiny baked or confectionery bites served after the main dessert. 12 courses can actually mean 15 plates, breads, surprises, and farewell sweets. Listed menu prices may still exclude drinks. Wine pairings are commonly optional. Some restaurants offer carefully designed alcohol-free drink pairings instead. Others sell premium ingredient supplements. Suddenly, one fixed price expands beyond expectations. Yet the tasting menu does offer certainty. Kitchens know what guests receive. Ingredients can be ordered, portioned, and prepared with greater precision. Service can synchronize every table. The chef can express one complete idea. Diners face one simple trade. You trade choice for choreography. And that choreography reveals why tiny plates can become expensive. Because every course begins accumulating costs long before service starts. That fixed menu gives the kitchen valuable certainty, but certainty never makes ingredients cheap, especially when chefs demand rare, fragile, seasonal products. Premium seafood may travel much farther than the diners eating it. Consider one pristine, hand-dived scallop. It is chilled, inspected, packed, and shipped overnight, then served as one bite. Caviar, truffles, wagyu, and specialty produce follow the same economics. Scarcity immediately raises prices before preparation even begins. Then precision adds another premium. Chefs routinely reject bruised leaves and uneven vegetables, while imperfect fish portions may remain completely edible. Yet they never reach diners. A whole fish enters, but only flawless portions leave plated. Trimmings often become stock, staff meals, or waste. That loss still costs money. Sauces can compress entire baskets into several spoonfuls, sometimes after hours of reduction. Backup inventory adds another invisible premium expense nightly, because missing ingredients break sequences. That risk requires a much larger kitchen brigade. Preparation begins before guests arrive. One cook cleans seafood, while another builds sauces and stocks. Another kitchen specialist handles vegetables, herbs, and garnishes. Pastry begins even earlier. Doughs ferment while chocolates temper and cream set. Then service changes everything. Every table needs identical courses arriving at nearly identical moments. Plates must remain hot, cold, crisp, or delicate. Timing becomes part of quality. One delayed plate can disrupt everything behind it, so cooks communicate constantly while servers watch every table carefully. The dining room has specialists. Hosts carefully manage arrivals, allergies, preferences, and pacing. Servers explain every unfamiliar detail. Sommeliers study producers, regions, vintages, storage, and pairings for years. Cleaners quietly reset an apparently effortless room. Managers coordinate the entire machine. Even empty seats create additional labor costs. Reservations require constant attention. Cancellations, dietary requests, and late arrivals force immediate operational adjustments. This entire organization supports each tiny plate, which disappears within seconds. And after paying everyone, the restaurant still faces the building itself. Prime locations demand expensive monthly rent and deposits. Utilities never stop running. Ovens, refrigeration, ventilation, lighting, and dishwashers consume energy. Specialized equipment needs maintenance. Custom plates, crystal glasses, linens, and furniture regularly require replacement. Yet the dining room serves relatively few people. Tables remain occupied for hours. That limits how many bills arrive nightly. A casual restaurant might sell one table several times nightly. Fine dining usually cannot. Each guest therefore carries more overhead costs. Empty tables carry costs too. A cancellation can erase revenue while wages and rent remain. Then marketing, reservations, insurance, and administration continue. Nothing pauses between services, so the $500 payment fractures almost immediately. Ingredients take one portion. Labor, rent, utilities, taxes, equipment, and waste consume much more. What remains for profit may be surprisingly small, yet customers still chase reservations. Because scarcity can turn an expensive dinner into coveted access. Fully booked calendars become advertisements. Every rejection confirms that demand exceeds available seats. And a room with 8 tables cannot satisfy worldwide curiosity. Securing one reservation therefore feels like winning entry. The price becomes a gate. Crossing it can signal wealth, persistence, taste, or fortunate timing. Michelin recognition strengthens that signal before dinner begins. Experts have already approved it. Photographs then spread that approval across phones, feeds, and conversations. Friends encounter the meal before tasting anything themselves. Prestige travels beyond the table. Eventually, the bill itself becomes part of theater. $500 announces rarity as loudly as the menu. But the people paying are not one tribe. Some wealthy regulars treat the experience like routine weekend entertainment. For them, $500 resembles premium theater seats. Others travel specifically for food. Flights and hotels orbit one evening reservation. The restaurant becomes a landmark experience through taste, not sight. Business hosts purchase a different kind of value. Access can impress clients instantly. A rare table quietly communicates preparation, generosity, seriousness, and influence. Hospitality begins negotiating before anyone opens documents. Then come milestone diners too. They save for proposals, graduations, and anniversaries. Ordinary spending rules soften when memories may last for decades. The purchase becomes partly food, partly biography. Years later, portions fade while faces, words, and feelings remain. That emotional value changes how $500 feels. So is the meal genuinely worth $500 tonight? Calories alone cannot answer that question fairly, nor can ingredient prices explain the entire experience by themselves. Value depends on your benchmark. For hunger, a cheaper meal delivers satisfaction far more efficiently. For spectacle, the answer becomes considerably more generous. For craftsmanship, every simple-looking bite contains years of disciplined practice. Great skill often hides inside apparent simplicity. Smooth service matters because diners barely notice its constant coordination. Effortlessness is carefully manufactured, never naturally occurring. Still, no star guarantees wonder, and no price guarantees meaning. One diner sees transcendent artistry. Another sees 3 bites surrounded by expensive, unnecessary theater instead. Both reactions can still be completely honest. Luxury, ultimately, makes difficult work appear almost weightless to guests. 3 bites vanish. Their hidden world remains unforgettable.